I call to order this meeting of the National School District Governing Board. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Avalos?
Present.
Ms. Betancourt Castañeda?
Present.
Ms. Luis Araya?
Present.
Ms. Gates?
Present.
Ms. Sarmiento? Present.
Thank you. On item 5A, presentations, due to conflict with the employee schedule, the recognition will be brought forth at our next board meeting. So moving on to item 5B, introduce and welcome the new employees. Dr. Kevin?
Before we move, can I request to be the speaker or the presenter on that item for next meeting? I know we don't have anybody assigned, but
For the 5A one?
correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dr. Kevin.
The National School District would like to welcome our new employees. This year, we are recognizing our temporary teachers as well as our impact teachers. So we want to say thank you for joining us. And I'm going to go ahead and start. We have a lot of people on the list. However, we don't have everyone here. So I'm going to start with those that are here. And if you'll come on up, we'd like to take a picture and you will receive your National School District.
Thank you.
So our first new employee is Alita Asiano, teacher at Olivewood School, 5th grade. Ms. Asiano has over 12 years of experience as a teacher in San Diego County. She holds a bachelor's degree in Spanish and International Studies from Northern Michigan University and a master's in Educational Technology from California State University, Fullerton. Welcome, Alita. Our next employee is Kyla Dulea, impact teacher at Olivewood School. Ms. Dulea has over 15 years of experience as a reading specialist and 6 years as a classroom teacher in San Diego County. She also has over 2 years of experience as an adjunct professor with Southwestern College. She holds a bachelor's in journalism from San Francisco State University and a master's in reading education from San Diego State University. Welcome, Kyla. Our next employee is Carmen Flores, teacher of special day class, moderate severe Lincoln Acres. Ms. Flores Lopez has over 2 years of experience as a substitute special education teacher. She holds a bachelor's in literature with a minor in women's studies from Point Loma Nazarene University. Welcome, Carmen. Our next employee is Shauna Hall, teacher special day class central. Ms. Hall has over 10 years of experience as a special education teacher in San Diego County. She holds a bachelor's in literature and writing from the University of California, San Diego, and a master's in special education, mild moderate disabilities from National University. Welcome, Shauna. Our next employee is Michelle Moses, teacher at Olivewood School. Ms. Moses has over 32 years of teaching experience in San Diego County. She holds a bachelor's in anthropology and a minor in third world studies from the University of California, San Diego, a Holocaust education specialist from Yad Vashem, Israel, and a master's in education from Brandeis University. Welcome, Michelle. Our next teacher is Elda Nunez. Ms. Nunez has over 10 years of experience in San Diego County. She holds a bachelor's in liberal studies from the California State University, Bakersfield. Welcome, Elder. Las Palmas, I'm sorry. Apologize for that. Nayeli Rodriguez is our next employee at Olivewood School. Ms. Rodriguez has over 2 years of experience as a substitute teacher in San Diego County. She holds a bachelor's in liberal studies from California State San Marcos and a master's in education from National University. Welcome, Nayeli. Our next employee is Ruth Romero, teacher at Central School. Ms. Romero has 1 year of experience as a dual immersion teacher in San Diego County. Prior to that, she had 4 years of substitute teaching experience. She holds a bachelor's in liberal studies and sciences from San Diego State University, a master's in inspired teaching and learning from National University, and a bilingual authorization certificate from Santa Clara University. Welcome, Ruth. And that completes our certificated employees that are present. Welcome to the camera. Our next group of employees are classified employees, new and classified employees that are here. We have Julie Jones, Instructional Assistant Intervention at Palmer Way and Las Palmas. Ms. Jones has over 15 years of experience as a legal word processor and legal secretary. She holds a bachelor's degree in educational studies from Grand Canyon University with an emphasis in English. And she has not arrived yet, so we'll just say, welcome, Julie. Our next employee is Edith Lizarraga, Instructional Assistant Intervention, Palmer Way and Las Palmas School. Ms. Lizarraga has been a classified substitute with the National School District for over 5 years. Welcome, Edith. Flor de Lisa Miranda, Instructional Assistant Healthcare at Ira Harbison School. Ms. Miranda has over 8 years of experience as an instructional aide with the Hemet Unified School District. She holds a bachelor's in elementary education from Holy Cross College in the Philippines. Welcome, Flor de Lisa. Our next employee is John Pangilinan, Pangilan. Instructional Assistant Healthcare from Palmer Way and Las Palmas School. Mr. Pangilan has 2 years of experience as an instructional tutor with E3 Civic High School. He has also served as a volunteer as a department student ambassador and logistics coordinator with Education Studies Department at UC San Diego. He holds a bachelor's of science in education sciences and with a minor of general psychology from UC San Diego. Welcome, John. And our last employee present here today is Maria Reynoso, Instructional Assistant Intervention at Palmer Way and Las Palmas. Ms. Reynoso has over 10 years of experience working as a preschool teacher with Le Petit Academy. She has also worked over 3 years as a campus student supervisor with the National School District. She has attended Southwestern College. Welcome, Maria. We'd like to take a group photo. Is it okay if I take the time to announce those that were not present? If you arrived late or you're just arriving, I just want to kind of go through the list for those that are not present today. Ricardo Alvarado, Ira Harbison School. Welcome, Ricardo, so 6th grade. Crystal Baeza, Impact Teacher at Central School. Welcome, Crystal. Terry Blunt, impact teacher at Palmer Way School. Rebecca Cardoza, temporary classroom teacher at Olivewood School. Welcome, Rebecca. That's a second and third grade combo. Linda Cartwright, impact teacher at Olivewood School. Laura Castro, temporary classroom teacher at Las Palmas School. Welcome, Laura. Wendy Elliott, impact teacher at Lincoln Acres. Ilian Malfoyan Duarte, SDC teacher early childhood in the preschool center. Welcome, Ilian. Jay Mergenovich, classroom teacher at Ira Harbison. Welcome, Jay. Lauren Niemick, teacher, mild moderate, Olivewood School. Yolanda Orozco, impact teacher at El Toyon. Priscilla Ramos, classroom teacher at Central. Eugenia Salazar, teacher at Olivewood School. Janice Tejaskal, impact teacher at Palmer Way. And our last employee is Jessica Reyes, instructional assistant healthcare at John Otis. Welcome to all of our new employees.
Maybe I'm missing one, but I know one in particular. Priscilla Ramos. She's one of our new hires. She was one of our students. So for her to come back and get back to her community and then
Sorry, I don't speak that much. I just wanted to say, I know that I may be missing others, but it just goes to show how much people want and love National School District. So thank you all and welcome.
Now, item 6 under public communications. Public communication provides the public with an opportunity to address the board regarding an item on the agenda or other topic. Anyone wishing to address the board shall submit a request for oral communications card. Cards are available near the entrance to the boardroom and are to be submitted to the recording secretary. A member of the public who wishes to address the board on any such matters is limited to 3 minutes for one matter, up to a maximum of 5 minutes for all matters, closed and open session matters. There shall be a limit of 20 minutes for any matter unless such time limit is waived by a majority vote of the board. Members of the public may not yield any time to other speakers. No board action can be taken. With that, we have a request to speak from Mark Anthony Hall.
That's me.
Hi there.
Hi. Good evening, Board President Sarmento and the board members, Superintendent Brady. My name is Mark Anthony Hall. I'm the Executive Director, as you can see, of Manhood ABC, which stands for the Adolescent Behavior Challenge. I'm on a 20 board tour, and this is my 13th board meeting since June 16th. The only way to know what's going on in the community is to show up and find out. And so I'm here, let me just say, first of all, I've Googled all of you all, so I know you via the internet, and so it's nice to see you. I'm here to say hello in person and see your faces close up. The reason I am here, although this is the Adolescent Behavior Challenge, we normally deal with 12 to 18-year-old boys. Every school we've been into, all the counselors have almost strong-armed us to deal with third graders to sixth graders. A lot of kids are dealing with social emotional issues, post-COVID anxiety, learning loss, learning recovery. And we are a community-based organization. I long believe that it takes the home, the community, and the school. In a lot of cases where the home is broken and the community has not stepped up, regretfully to the new teachers, guess who it falls on? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, all your breaks, time away from your own family. So we are stepping up. And so my goal is to become a community partner with you. I'm a vendor with San Diego Unified School District. We have new partnerships with San Ysidro, Chula Vista, Sweetwater. Right now, as I tell everybody, there was an epidemic before there was a pandemic. The epidemic is that there's a demographic of boys. And let me say, first of all, there's a lot of great education taking place. A lot of kids are successfully making their way through the school systems, but there's a pocket of boys who are falling through the cracks. And again, the male role model was missing. With the young kids, we adapted our program. It's called What All Boys Should Know, because we recognize that you cannot teach manhood traits to a third grader. And so we actually softened down our curriculum. We have a 100-point curriculum, but with the younger kids, we have a 25-point curriculum. And it deals more with bonding with the boys. By the way, I forgot who's the writer. I have 88 books, 30 of which are children's books. And so we spend a lot of time integrating the leader in me concepts along with storytelling and bonding and apple pies. And I call them magic chocolate donuts and magic coconut donuts and magic powdered sugar donuts. They seem to work. But the bottom line is we had a case study done by USD. And every boy who attended our program, their grade point average went up 27%. But the great news is the discipline went down 85%. No calls that her hardworking mama to come off her job. No calls or, interrupting her day as she tries to provide for her family or the father. So the bottom line is the kids come to school, they show up, they behave themselves, and they become academics. So again, I just want to reemphasize that we say home, neighborhood, school. It's good to see you all. Hello.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And item 7A, the agenda.
If I may, can I leave the superintendent and the board president?
Yes. Pass down your business card, by the way.
Okay.
Powers to be. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you all.
Okay, item 7A, to accept the agenda. Do I have a motion?
Want to make to approve? I second the motion.
Motion made by Ms. Bettencourt Castaneda, second by Ms. Avalos. Please vote.
Item passes unanimously.
Item 8, to approve consent agenda item routine items of business. A motion from the board.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
I second the motion.
A motion by Ms. Yates, second by Ms. Avalos. Please vote. Before I move on, I just want to let you know this is the business section of the board. If you feel you need to leave, feel free. We won't take it personally. I know you're busy, but thank you. Thank you for being here.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm here on Discovery.
We're always here.
Hello again.
Item passes unanimously.
Okay, we have nothing under 9, general functions. 10, educational services. A, to amend CC 3045 with YMCA of San Diego County for the 2022-2023 school year. Opportunities. The approval of this item will allow the district to add expanded learning opportunities program funding to our YMCA program contract to continue enhancement of after-school recreational activities. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve. I second the motion.
I have a motion by Ms. Bettencourt Castaneda, second by Ms. Avalos. Please vote.
Item passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item 10B, to approve CT 4089 with Ed Husica to provide an after-school instrumental mariachi program.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second that. I have a motion by Ms. Avalos, second by Ms. Bettencourt Castaneda. If no discussion, please vote. We do have discussion, Ms. Gates, thank you.
Yes, sneak those in. One of the things that I was thinking with this is some delineation on things like reasonable expectations for performances, for how many times they meet with students, things like that. It's not So I see that we have the details. Classes will be held 3 days a week for 90 minutes with a culminating performance. Those things are good to know. How do we help this be strengthened? And also, it would be really nice, just as a random crazy thought, how fun would it be to have all of the students, I want massive mariachi program. I think we really need to perform down at, like, oh, I don't know, Kimball Park or something like that.
Started at Calsa.
Let's go big.
Let's go big.
Yeah, so what do you, like, just some more details, just so that we're, so we're wise about it.
I do have Miss Melanese here, who is working really closely with Alfredo. These are the same individuals that we paused during the pandemic with our mariachi program, but we have maintained our partnership with them, and they were able to come back. One shift that we did make to go bigger is previously it was located at a single site, which caused some inequities and access for some of the individuals. So now it is at all 10 sites. From my conversation with Miss Melanese, Alfredo is going to recruit students, and based off his initial assessment and as an artist, make determinations about what the performance might look like. It might be, cohorts, it might be, one big performance. I think he needs to have his artists, his musicians in front of him, and I think that they will start to make those decisions based off that data.
That sounds good.
But we want to go big too.
Yes.
We're going to ask Ms. That's right. And it's going to be one performance for each kid. Sorry, Trustee Russell. Lizaraga, I was going to recruit you to do ballet folklorico. Let's go big.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, thank you. I had the same question as for Trustee Gates, but there's some misperception about, well, not misperception, I want to know clarification because I know every after-school activity is managed by YMCA, but this is separate. So I didn't know what to answer when a parent asked me. So can you clarify to the audience that what is the separation between that? Because we have a lot of suggestions from parents and they have resources, but we don't know how to direct the activities for that part. For example, if I do ballet folklorico, I need to go to the YMCA, or if I find a Zoom instructor for the kids, it can be through YMCA. So can you please clarify that part?
Sure. We have our YMCA Reach program after school, and what we have been doing is funneling any extended activities after the school hours through them for multiple reasons, but mostly for supervision and school safety and accountability. And so if they do join Reach, they fill out the application so that, there's a time frame generally spaced between when teachers release to students and when students can start up with the extended activity. That's where Reach comes in, kind of help transition the students. The students can stay simply for, say, like mariachi or for soccer or the things that we're offering. Recently, the county, who is the recipient of the ACES grant, which does our after-school programming, lifted the criteria that was very limiting in terms of how long students needed to stay within the program. So we have flexibility and we can do early dismissal, which is about 90 minutes into it. That's about the time you want anyway. So we're going to try to do most of our programs that way so that we can ensure that there's always supervision of the students from the moment the teacher releases them to the point where their parents pick them up.
Thank you. That's a clarification question that we all have, and we have a discussion among the parents. So, for example, if one wants to go to one activity, but he can use the other time to do mentoring or homework help, for example, or any type of mentoring for people sitting behind, for special ed, or any necessities that they might arise. Thank you.
Thank you. Since we're gonna go through the REACH program, is there a limit on the amount of students that can participate in the mariachi program? And also if they enroll in the mariachi program or one of our extended programs, are they able to stay for that services that we have, in addition to the programs that we're extending out?
Yes, there, for the mariachi, it's looking like 25, 50 students at each school total. Generally, if you are going to dismiss early, you complete an early dismissal departure form. If you are going to stay the entire way out, as soon as it's over, the ACES does need to maintain a ratio of 20-1. And so we'll need to make sure we're in compliance, but I think you already approved it. Yes, you did. You approved A, which will allow us some flexibility in hiring because the ELOP funds are not controlled in the same manner. And it'll give us a lot more flexibility to be able to service kids who need additional pieces, whether it's ACES or let's say they do soccer, which is afterward. It'll give kids a little bit more opportunities. There are obviously going to be some scheduling challenges of if you're in after school learning and it's the same time as underwater basket weaving. It's what you want to do, there'll have to be a little bit of give and take, but I think we are trying to make it as much as possible flexible afternoon because we are offering a lot more opportunities for kids. The sports program is going to go to the next level this year, and then we are going to be adding additional sports as well as additional extracurricular activities after school as we start building the year to inspire our kids early to be interested in what they're passionate about.
Right. I know it's going to be difficult for the student to try to decide which one they can participate in. And oftentimes when you go into high school, they don't conflict some of the sports. So if they're able to participate in multiple ones, they're creating that multiple sport athlete, but student athlete.
Correct. Yeah, we're hoping that last year we did soccer, and this year I think it's, we're aligned with soccer and basketball. What's that? Basketball. Yes, and then hopefully pickleball. I'm sports,
Savvy.
savvy, that's it, thank you.
Can wait for the showcase for that one.
I had a question as well. I noticed the contract costs was a little bit surprising to me. I'm wondering, you had mentioned 50 students per school. I understand there's about 25 for the intermediate, advanced, and 25 for the beginners. Does somebody take roll? How do we account for that many students every single class? I just want to know that our money is well spent.
That's built in. We can certainly ask Alfredo and his team, but that's one of the benefits of going through the ACES REACH program. They do check in, and so again, it's a safety. We know the kid is released from the teacher. REACH gets them, and we now have an accountability. They take attendance immediately, and then when they exit, they have to notice it in their system also. So we actually have a digital tracking system.
I think that program is very strict in terms of their participation because it is it's a very fast pace. So I know that previously that's the concern, but that was something that other parents have brought up because their children participate in other activities, but it's required that they participate and stay for the duration of the program.
Yeah, that is because if like a team sport, collectively, it has impact. So you're in. So it is one of the things that you do have to commit to.
Yes, on behalf of the President Sarmiento, this is here, it is replacement instruments. Are we buying new or just replacing the old ones? Because the annual book goes to every student so they can keep the book, but the instruments is also maybe for cost and expense, for replacing them.
I'm going to have Ms. Melanie's answer that because she's working out some of those details and I want to make sure you get accurate information.
Good evening, Board President and board members. Thank you for allowing me to answer some of these questions. So yes, Mr. Arandana is anticipating about $50,000 total in replacement of instruments. And a lot of that was due to over the pandemic when we closed abruptly, right? We didn't collect instruments right away. We didn't have a way to collect them safely, make sure everybody was safe in returning them. So we've had a lot of loss of instruments that way. And that's really the big cost. And in addition to the expansion of the program, right? We're going from, I don't know what it used to be, maybe 100, 200 kids to we're now talking across 10 sites, 500. So,
Yeah, thank you. I made the question because I know it costs a lot of money.
yeah.
And that might be answering probably a potential.
So if we've had instrument loss, is there any way we can go back and follow up and find out who these previous students were?
So we did, in our department, we've tried to call families and request that they return them. We asked each school to kind of scour their schools and cabinets and see what they could find. And I think what we have at this point is what we have. So this is his best estimate now, based on what he anticipates needing.
How many instruments did you figure we've lost?
He said right now we have about 100 instruments and he's anticipating needing about 100 more.
So, but how many were lost to the students that never returned them?
That I do not know. I don't know how many were lost. I can find that out for you if you'd like.
And don't they fill out an instrument rental form or loan form of some sort, and aren't there repercussions?
Yeah, and again, I think this was due to the pandemic where we just didn't have that ability to collect them immediately. So then we were closed for a year. So we were talking about a year and a half where we really lost track, and students went out to middle school, families moved, and it's just really hard to track families down. So that's
Another very expensive.
yes.
Dr. Pratt?
Yes, immediately after the pandemic, we were hoping, and Ms. Hayes was, she had to go out and about and search, and a lot of it was the transition that we for a while, we lost the consistency of contact with the family. And so we did find some instruments in the book room that we were going to use, but they get to a point where they aren't viable anymore, too old, the valves don't work, those things don't work. And so Ms. Hayes did it first, and we were able to get what we can. And then when we were able to meet with Alfredo again and go to the next level and go back to what we were before a little bit more, Ms. Melanie's looked into it. So
Is there an effort made to repair these instruments?
If possible.
yeah,
Possible?
if possible.
Yes.
Yes, who's expert in it?
My husband plays the saxophone, and just replacing valves can cost, depending on the cost of the saxophone. In the first place, replacing valves and the seals that come with it, replacing the cork on the mouthpiece can cost more than an instrument when you're talking about what I'm assuming is our level of intro instruments. And so that can honestly it's just not worth the repair cost. I also, I just had a student turn in their Chromebook that was theirs. So now they're an eighth, now the student is an eighth grader. It's the Chromebook that went home with her on March 13th of 2020.
Yeah.
But the family, because of between housing loss, parent job loss, move, they finally found it in the closet. And somewhere they know the charger is with it in a box somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's not like, we're still seeing ramifications of stuff. It wasn't a lack of responsibility, it's just, and then with an instrument like a woodwind, if you aren't using it, those seals dry out and are worthless. I mean, it stinks. But real life is the sometimes it's just better to put the instrument down.
Shoot it.
I'm not talking about how well they play, Mrs. Hayes. Sometimes that might be it too, but did I say that?
No, you're talking about the instrument.
Oh, okay.
Any further discussion? Yes, Ms. Castaneda.
So, we do have, as previously mentioned, a form that they complete so that way at least we know we're tracking it, and that's something that those insurance stay with the district, correct?
Any further discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
Item passes unanimously.
Oh, there it is. Okay, thank you. Item C, approve CT 4101 with Leverage Learning Incorporated to provide math support.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Betty Castaneda, second by Ms. Yates. Please vote.
Item passes unanimously.
Item D, to approve C24101 with Learner Centers Collaborative for Leadership Development Services. Pleasure of the board.
Make a motion to approve.
Thank you. Motion by Ms. Avalos, second by Ms. Betty Castaneda. Please vote.
Item passes unanimously.
I just want to log my appreciation for the, this is a little bit of a follow-up on discussion last meeting, where we talk about the need for everybody, no matter what level you're at, to stay honed and sharp. So I appreciate that's being brought in front of us for your own personal growth.
Thank you. Item 11A, Human Resources, to approve job description for Administrative Assistant Business Services. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the job description for the Administrative Assistant Business Services.
Thank you. Please vote.
Item passes unanimously.
Item B, to approve revised job description for Administrative Assistant Office of the Superintendent.
Motion to approve. I second the motion.
Motion by Ms. Betty Castaneda, second by Ms. Avalos. Please vote.
Item passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item C, to approve out-of-state travel for Dr. Maritza Kippen to attend the Association of Latino Administrators and Superintendents 20th Anniversary Summit.
Motion to approve. I second the motion.
Second by Ms. Betty, motion by Ms. Betty Castaneda, second by Ms. Avalos. Please vote.
Item passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item 12A, Business Services, to presentation and acceptance of the GASB number 75 actuarial valuation report for other post-employment benefits. That's a mouthful.
And yes, we have Sandy DeCoff here to present for us from NIHART.
Thank you. Okay, great. Good evening, and thank you to the board for having me. My name is Sandy from NIHART Consulting, and I am here tonight to discuss the fiscal 2023 government accounting results for the district's retiree healthcare plan. I do have remarks prepared, but feel free to jump in at any point with any questions or comments that come up. So starting off here, we have a little bit of an agenda of what I'll discuss today. I will give an overview of our valuation process, model, assumptions used, then go into some specific details about the 2023 results, and finish off with a discussion of long-term risks related to this benefit plan. So let's get started here with the valuation process. Each year, what we do is we collect all of the relevant data related to this benefit plan. That's plan provisions, eligibility, duration, the premium rate information, and sometimes the census data. We take all that data and program it into our actuarial model, where we come up with projected cash flows related to this benefit for all future years. We then discount those cash flows back to the measurement date to get one liability number, and then we allocate that liability to the various GASB line items needed. Moving on, I'll go over some changes since the last fiscal year. Fiscal 2022 was a full valuation year, which meant that we updated the census data and did a more thorough valuation process. Fiscal 2023, in contrast, is an interim year, which means we use the census data from the prior valuation and we're allowed to take a more simplified roll forward approach. Next year for fiscal 2024, the census data will be updated again, and that's pretty much the GASB schedule, full valuation, interim valuation, and they alternate year to year. We did not reflect any plan provision changes, so we just made 2 updates to the liability. The first being for that discount rate, we changed it from 2.25 to 4.31. And this is based off of the bond market as of the measurement date, so it does change from year to year. The discount works inversely with the liability, so the higher the discount rate, the lower the liability. And this change did lead to a pretty large decrease in liability amount. We also updated for the actual premium increases from 2022 to 2023. The story here was really just that premiums came in lower than expected, so also lowered the liability a little bit comparatively. Okay, next I'll go into our actuarial model a bit. This develops those future costs and liabilities that we use in the report. And we have to input some key items here. Starting off on the right-hand side of the page, the plan benefit amount, duration, and eligibility. The district pays for a portion of the retiree-only premium for employees with either 10 or 15 years of service, depending on the group. And benefits stop at age 65 when they can join Medicare. Moving to the left-hand side of the page, we input our assumptions. And these assumptions project out those costs into the future, so they're pretty meaningful in terms of coming up with the liability amount. The first big assumption we have is healthcare trend, or inflation on medical premiums, basically. And we view that as slightly different than regular inflation. That starts off at about 6.75% per year, trending down each year until a rate of 4.5 is reached. The other key assumption is that discount rate that I already mentioned was a pretty large change for this year, which is why you'll see a pretty large change in the liability. Okay, the last of my introductory slides, just the premium rates for 2022 and 23. These are really the underlying basis for the valuation. Higher premiums means higher liability. And ultimately, the story for fiscal 2023 is they came in lower than expected. So led to a little bit of a liability decrease. Okay, so I'll pause here just to see if there's any questions. That was kind of all the intro process stuff.
Any questions?
Okay, great. So here we'll start off with the actual 2023 results, the projected pay-go costs or projected benefit payments related to this plan, split between your current retirees in that little bit in the red and your future retirees kind of taking over the whole chart. These benefit payments range from about $700,000 per year, going up to about $2.2 million over time. So they're increasing and they definitely bounce around a little bit. These are forward-looking, so they're based off of the data that we have and our future assumptions. If you were to add up all those contributions, you would get $51.3 million, which is the starting point for the GASB reporting calculations, which I'll go over on this page here. So we start with that $51.3 million, and then we take the present value of those contributions, bringing that all to $27.3 million as of the measurement date. We then allocate the liability into different pieces needed for GASB reporting, with the most important being this total OPEB liability here on the right-hand side of the page, and that is $14.7 million. This is related to service already accrued to date. There are liabilities related to future service, which are shown on the left-hand side of the pie chart, but they're not used as much in the GASB calculations. So moving on to the balance sheet liability, we have the total OPEB liability of $14.7 million, which is offset by no assets. If the district did set up an OPEB trust, we would be able to show an asset number here, offsetting that liability. And the only other thing I'll mention on this page is that the liability did decrease from last year. You could see the June 30, 2022 liability is $16 million versus $14.7 this year. And that large change is really due to that discount rate update. So at this point, I can switch over into a conversation about long-term risks associated with the plan. As you see, we use a lot of data, assumptions, and projections, which means that there's inherent risk associated with this long-term benefit. And I will just pop back up to this page to show you the benefit payments again. You can see that they're increasing and they are bouncing all over the place. So not very predictable, which is inherently risky. There are a number of options that you can look into to managing that risk, but I just wanted to go over one, which is establish an OPEB trust. And that I'll go through into a tiny bit more detail here. Essentially what that means is you set aside funds in a dedicated trust only to be used for retiree healthcare benefits. This would add some stability and predictability to the funding. It would also mean that if investment returns are higher, then it could lead to lower ongoing contributions. And lastly, there's the benefit of using a higher discount rate. If you were to fund through a trust, you could use a discount rate of about 6%, lowering your liability, kind of shown below. So that is really all I had. If there's more questions or if anyone wanted more detail on the pre-funding part of it, I could definitely take that on.
Any questions from the board?
I have a question.
Mrs. Robin?
Yeah, thank you. You mentioned census data. You know, it's been 10 years that we have the census data finally. What are the main highlights or something to put attention to on the trends for the data that we have for this 2020 days? So, if there's any difference between the prior census data that we have in regards trending, besides the cost?
No, there's nothing very notable on the census data that I'll say. It does get updated from year to year, and we do see gains and losses related to what happens with the census data, but sometimes they're offsetting, and that was something we would have seen in the last valuation since we're using the same census this year. What we do in interim valuation years is we collect the head counts and we compare them and say, for example, okay, you had 100 actives and now you have 105. We don't need to make any changes there to the census data because it's close enough. Versus if you had 100 actives and then you all of a sudden had 150, we would be like, we need to do a census update because we know that that is material enough to reflect. But in terms of the census, I don't think there's been any trends long-term over time. If you were interested in studying that, however, we could look into it to kind of say, okay, over the past 5 years, how have your people retired, terminated? That would be something done under an experience study.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to clarify, you're talking census in the terms of an internal census of employees, not the external
Yes,
census.
sorry, yes.
Yes, because we did just have a big national census count, so I just want to make sure we clarify that for the.
My question was related to that one. Was it census data locally internally or census data from county?
Got it. Sorry about
It
that.
might be a different factor that
Yes.
gets trend and affecting and impacting this decision.
No, absolutely. And for our purpose, what we do is we do take the actual specific census data here, and that's what we use in our program. The results of like that nationwide census, we do take into account probably just in our assumptions, what we think that long-term growth factors look like. So, thank you.
And the second question is, I don't know if we'd be open to, because we have border crossing, maybe that question for the third. We consider any medical providers beyond the border that are more affordable? Is it there the cost that it gets? I use it myself because it's more, they have underwriters that they bill us, but there's something to consider there. They have very good medical providers and it will be the less of the cost.
Yes, we are open to, and have had discussions actually this year with providers from across the border, and I'm familiar with similar programs. So we're totally open to that option, yes.
Thank you.
I believe we had a conversation at the chamber breakfast.
Just for the audience
Got
to
it.
know.
Any further discussion, questions, comments? Okay. Thank you very much for taking the time to be with us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Sue. Under item 12B, discussion of banners and murals, Dr. Burke.
Yes, from time to time.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Sorry about that.
Make a motion.
And acceptance, yeah. So we need to let it go.
You already have the presentation.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
Item 12A.
I second the motion.
We have a motion by Ms. Bettencourt Castaneda and second by Ms. Zaraga. Please vote.
Item passes unanimously.
I'm sorry, Dr. Burke, now you're on.
Sorry.
All right, from time to time, we have community groups or members of the school community have an interest in memorializing someone or something that's happened, either through an art installation, be it a bench, some kind of statue, a tree, or you could have a mural. So this conversation is initiated because we don't really have specific guidelines to help guide the choices made by leadership around what to approve and what not to approve when it comes to art installation, murals, and things like benches. So really, I just wanted to have a conversation here to find out if there was any stipulations that the board wanted us to be aware of, any parameters that we should be operating within. If there were any non-starters that we shouldn't even be entertaining the idea of this type of installation. To inform our, as we go through creating guidelines, and we're working with our principals with the same conversation. So I look forward to carrying that out and further with teachers and community as well. So first, we'd like to hear your guidance.
Ms. Gates?
I'll relate this to something that maybe some people have experience with. I think that art installations at school sites are as sacred as, to some people, as pews are to people in church. It's amazing the discussions that can take place when you decide to change the carpet color at church. And it's the same type of thing. Like, I'm thinking about that. I know that Ira Harbison, when Mrs. Hayes was principal there, had numerous awards that were then honored with murals on the Ira Harbison buildings. And Mrs. Hayes is only 35. Sorry to tell everybody. But in the time since then, my children have gotten much older than that.
Mrs. Hayes?
Yes, they have definitely aged well. You have not. And I have not either. And so there is a piece of it that is historical and that's honoring, which can be good, but there's also a piece where it's past enough that, yes, but we can have such strong attachments to things. It can be, my children were there when you got that award, and I want my grandchildren to see that award, and some of that just realistically isn't practical, and it dates us as much as the old paint that was used for the murals. So should there be like an age limit on some things like that before we can, like, is it that if there's an award type of thing, do we allow it to stand for 10 years before we consider it being painted over? I don't know what we do with those things. And the other piece, of course, to consider is sometimes our our connection to something is not practical in light of its deterioration, because we don't want to keep things up that are now just looking old and nasty, or things that need repaired. So, like, I know some schools have done things like tile mosaic projects, except the grout's falling out and the tiles look bad, and they can't be cleaned properly, and yet those are literally our children's handprints for some. So yes, when you're talking about this, there's a whole level of practicality, heartstrings, time and money commitment that go into all of it. So what's reasonable and yet at the same time honoring, I guess, is where I fall in this discussion. When it comes to the care of and the keeping of. That makes sense for everybody. Well, I mean, some stuff just gets old.
Yeah.
And some stuff, you know, if you're, like my house, when we repainted, there was water seepage through a crack into the stucco. We had to take off all that old stucco, re-stucco it, and then paint it. Well, what happens to the mural that's on that wall? We can't reasonably keep that. And yet, again, my connection to it may be, or our neighborhood's connection to it may be substantial. So like there, and I would say maybe one of our main priorities is, it has to be somewhere in there, the amount of communication that we are going to pass to people. If we turn around and we need to take down the, you know, awards on the wall, are we informing our community? Repairs need to be done. This mural will be coming down. If you want last pictures, please please drag your kids and your grandkids out and take them. But respectfully so. While knowing that we still have to maintain property in a way that is safe and honoring to our kids. I'm done.
Are you offering a solution?
That's his job. No, I'm just saying that some of the premise, like I said, is if it's an award type of mural, is 10 years sufficient to have gotten the honoring of that school site, plus the money invested in the mural in the first place? Is that a reasonable approach? But I feel like in some ways you're gonna have to look at things individually. I'm not sure, like not everything will be an apple and an orange and an orange. If you have those hand printed tiles at a school site and that's been there for 50 years, do we invest in continued care of something that's that personal and that committed? That's a question to ask individually about that type of thing. If it's something that some kid, sorry, this also sounds wrong, filtering again. If it's something that kind of was a fun activity that we did and they kind of painted something, or maybe in some cases, like my school site did get painted, but last year I was looking at a particular wall going, oh dear Lord, that thing is horrible. And was thinking about, what do we do to cover that up quick? Because it's in bad shape. That's not an invested art piece that I would have thrown up. I would have done, that's different. They're very different things. I'm not sure how and then again, like I said, you get into this stucco wall needs to come down. That's another issue. You know, everything, I'm afraid we might be looking at some things. I mean, if it's a maintenance, maybe we have a category for maintenance issues. Separate from, this is old and outdated. Does that make sense? Yes. Maintenance and safety, old and outdated. Yeah. Now can I be done?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. This is a rabbit.
Thank you. I was excited when I saw this topic on the agenda because I was envisioning kids doing it. So when I had that, my first question would be, what is the common questioning and discussion from the teachers? I think they brought up but maintaining is an issue. I mean, a factor that I thought about it, but Trustee Gates already explained it. But it would be nice to use the resources that are out there because it requires more personnel, more another artist, maybe another activity, or requires another staff, maybe outreach to another stakeholder out there on the community. Would have Arts a Reason to Survive, which is a really good fit for this project, but the maintaining on that one and identifying a leadership. I was there within the city back on the 2005, I guess, but as a 2006, Rainforest Cafe came in and did it on the city, but back in Kimball, Paradise Creek Educational Park. But the city came over and painted over the project that were tiles. We had to take every single inch of stain that the city put on. that's what the maintenance came in. We did it as community members, but my son was part of that tile project and said, Mom, this is a shame that they kept it that way. So how are we gonna maintain it? And my concern is, I mean, it seems pretty amazing and visionary, but how are we gonna be realistic about what it takes and the challenges that we're gonna overcome with this? And it's pretty amazing that maybe the kids can identify leader and they can identify that I was there with my teacher and we did it together. And that's what we wanted to keep and maintain in this vision, regardless of the challenges that we may accomplish. And let the kids do it. You know, include the kids. Maybe I can be another for the student roundtable. Say, what do you want to do? How do you want to nominate a leader in your community that impacts your educational life in your elementary school? So that's something just to put it out there.
Thank you, Ms. Whitmer.
I did want to piggyback on what Mrs. Sarah said in regards to making a decision on which I was actually going to mention school sites presenting those ideas, and I think that should be presented to the board, and the board can identify those as opposed to one person making a decision, because they are very unique, and I think that that's something that we can definitely collectively make a decision on. But I just know for a fact the murals and the artwork are very sensitive and emotional to families. I just happened to be at a retirement party, and one of the students of the retiree was there, and she specifically spoke about the olive wood flag, and she was so devastated. And she's an adult now, a young adult, but she's saying, I can't believe that it's gone, and and I had to explain to her that they want me to be prepared and so on and so forth. But again, notified our community that this is going to happen. Even the former principal also was like, oh, I can't believe that it was taken down, so they are connected. They, people are really connected to these projects, but more so that's a good reason why we involve our community, our school sites, and then they present it. School site council is a good start, but I think that we need to get the school involved because they have their uniqueness. Every school has a uniqueness, and again, I think that not just one person make that decision. It's a good that we all have some in it. So I would be definitely in support of something like that. And keeping it maintaining it. I know some things are out of our control, but if we maintain them, they have a longer lifespan. But also, we should set an expiration date of some sort, so that way it's not a complete heartbreak when things do get changed. Because it's just realistic, things have to get torn down for multiple reasons, and we just can't salvage it, but the maintenance would actually prevent us from having to take it out of service earlier than what is necessary, so.
I thought it was done. See, my brain says different things. I can see us having designated mural walls and spaces, and because, all those research studies that somebody pours money into on what colors your schools should be to optimize learning are they have their place. And but if we have designated walls that get work done, and and maybe it is a 10-year rotation, and that allows everybody to have a good decade with that's my stuff. And then we have a clearing of the wall or something like that, and planning time, and then we get a new mural from that new set of kids that is at their suggestion and that is possibly their work. I mean, we have muralists who will actually work with kids and take what they actually have painted and get it up on the wall. So those things are real possibilities to be intentional with. And that way also our children know that was our generation's work. We're moving on. I don't know if the rest of you remember, it's not that long ago, Chicano Parks changing out of murals. That was a hot thing, right? And one of the big things was that they made an effort, I know, to get back original muralists so that the work would be comparable, the work would be honored, the original murals would be, they needed to be repaired, the repairs needed to be done. But that they wouldn't lose the intentionality and they wouldn't lose the heart. And that's part of what we would be looking for too in those permanent fixtures, like murals, tile walls, benches, things like that. Banners are different. I mean, we are talking, I realized, it's like, wait a minute, we threw banners in there. Banners can be the PTA banner that's hanging, but that has been out in the elements long enough that it's now all like, yep, it's warped and it's got brown, like mess from the trees around it and all of that. So that's a different issue. So banners, for instance, should be purposeful, fit to purpose. If it's supposed to represent the school or an organization in the school, we want it to be something that honors that organization at that time, which also means we don't want it shabby and beat up. We don't want it to be up there with tears. But again, we realize they cost. So it's not necessarily reasonable to turn around and say, well, every year you have to put a brand new banner up, even though you paid a substantial amount of money for your organization for this one. But can we work with our different groups who want those banners up? I'm assuming that, I'm making an assumption, so you tell me if I'm wrong. I'm assuming that do we have parameters on who those banners can be from? Only us. So our banners, our organizations. So PTA would fall under that?
We've allowed some PTA. We've allowed PTA banners at some of our schools, like for special awards, but we have only in the past, it's come from our business office, allowed National School District official banners for registration, enrollment in REACH, attendance, things like that. And we've had them very, very limited. We had some for the bond to thank the community about our bond, but we've kept them very limited, so you don't have banners everywhere. But we have had requests and wanted to open up the conversation to the board with new leadership. It's come up that we wanted to hear what you felt about how many banners, which types of banners, how the banners look, how they're attached to our fences, things like that.
Yeah, well, because when we're back to talking about that possibility, like opening up to our PTAs who work directly for us, with us, on our behalf, that makes sense that we would allow them to encourage participation and to honor their contribution by having a banner up at the school site. But that's, for me, a no-brainer. And it may be that if there are some substantial community partners who are faithfully giving and supporting, who knows? Maybe we decide, this is all maybes, people, maybe we decide that we have an honoring of them through a banner at school sites, like at maybe for promotion. So, because we have those relationships. We got our fire departments and our police departments and our, like, the banks, and the Boys and Girls League. We've got this whole list of community people who support us. And so and not just, hey, nice job, it's not that. They are giving of their time or their resources to the support of our students. So maybe there is an appropriate time for that, but it does, but it can't.
Maybe it should be more consistent. and across the district.
And I've always had a thought when it comes to our kids, my first classroom. And I went in and I realized that there were some really old, like in the file cabinet, there were some really old copies for worksheets to give to kids. And I remember looking at that going, that tells a child when it's a copy of a copy of a copy and it's fuzzy on the edges and it's crooked now and you can see where it was copied before. It tells a child in some ways, that's what I think of you. I don't have the time to make you a new one. And what does that say to our kids about them not having the time or to make sure that they walk into the freshest, most taken care of, to the best of our ability, reflecting them place? If that makes sense. And that includes banners, and includes murals, and includes benches, to the best of our ability. And our resources, when we can do it. I'm done again.
Ms. Raga?
Yeah, thank you. Do we currently have like a guideline or a policy or a, I don't know, a resolution about this type of activity? Or we need to create one?
Yeah, not a written.
Yeah, it's just in discussion, please.
policy.
Okay.
Just past practice.
Okay.
It seems to me that maybe we need to form some sort of a workshop to discuss this, because we can go on and on and on and on about all this stuff. And I'm saying that it is important. It's important to discuss. It's important to bring up. Thank you, Mr. Burt, Dr. Burt, for opening up a can of worms. We'll get you later. Yeah, we could draft something to bring to us. Initially, it says art installations and mural projects, and then we got into statues, trees, murals, benches, etc. So there is a wide range of things that it could cover. I remember at Olivewood, that big flag that they have facing Highland Avenue, my handprints, one of those handprints that makes up that flag, and I'm proud of it. And I don't know if they go through and they maybe put a clear coat every once in a while to preserve that, but I think it's really cool. In fact, also another person who was on there was the chief of police at the time, and and a lot of kids. And I thought that was a very cool project, and I'd like to see that preserved. But also too, it brings up what I had brought up before about the tree that was planted at Lincoln Acres Elementary School, planted by the principal, dragged his custodian to the nursery, had him haul back this tree and planted it because there was no shade for the kids on the playground. And that was, gosh, I want to say maybe 50 or so years ago. You know, it was a long time ago. And I also want to say, when I was there at Lincoln Acres regarding the backpack giveaway, I saw trees all over the place. And that was very heartening to see, because I thought, okay, you made a difference. You know, and we have shade now for the kids to play under at recess. And which brings up another thing. I got a call the other day from a parent at El Turan. She said, there's no shade anywhere at El Turan. She said, my kids are standing in the hot sun. The only shade there is in the hallways, and they're not allowed to go in the hallways at recess. Yikes. You know, that kind of troubled me, and that's a discussion we'll have to have later. But getting back to the topic, I think this is something that we need to look at. Maybe develop a board policy and maybe say, okay, we're not going to do anything that's going to crumble and fall within the next couple of years, but maybe do something to preserve it. Maybe we can have the principals have a binder in each of the schools that said, okay, in the year 2028, you need to put a clear coat over this painting or something to that effect. And because we know we change principals periodically, one new principal isn't going to know what the old principal did back in their days, and that's just the nature of the beast. But also, someone had contacted me about a mural at Otis School in the hallway, and it was a beautiful painting of the Indians, California Indians. And he said, I'll never forget that painting, because they were the Indians, that it was beautifully done, but the women were partially clad. And he said, as a young boy, we were walking by going, hee, you know, that was kind of funny and kind of cool. But He said, whatever happened to that? And I've asked around, nobody knows. I don't know if it was preserved, I don't know. You know, I heard there's a building somewhere in San Diego where they preserve things like that. Excuse me, I don't know if that's one of them. But things like that, you know, we need to find out. And also, there was a grand piano at Palma Way on the stage for years and years and years that isn't there anymore. I'm curious what happened to that. You know, that was given to the kids to be used at assemblies or whatever, but isn't there anymore. And, you know, our district is what, 125 plus years old now? Oh, 152. Okay, my math is off. But there's a lot of stuff that's gone on over the years that we need to preserve if we can. And why celebrate the anniversary if we're not paying attention to these things that made us what we are?
I wanted to mention if we get something back, we get some examples of things that have been brought forward, that way we can have some considerations like what makes sense or what kind of ideas have been brought forward that have been turned down. Just if we do the workshop or if we do it in additional. But I just wanted to some years ago, that flag has been years ago, so.
I've never seen that.
I have no idea, I remember.
I'll send you a picture.
I've never seen that.
The wall was actually crumbling.
Was it?
We did the coating, we did all those things. We had a teacher who would go in and redo striping and all that kind of. And then the wall was crumbling and we were told that the wall would fall down.
It's been at least
Wow.
7 years.
Maybe, yeah, it's been gone a while.
I'll get you a picture.
I never saw it in the movie, so I think it must have been.
It must have, yeah, I'm thinking
I
that
have
too.
it for the record, I never saw any of the Indian murals at John
Yeah,
Lewis
it's been a while.
or a grand piano on the way, but
Yeah.
I can find somebody that knows something about that, I'll try to.
Yeah, I tried Mr. Denegri here.
Okay. Does that give you a little bit of?
Sorry you asked?
Yes, and it clues me in that we need to inform the community when something's going away, as recommended by trustee Gates.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's just a blurb in the newspaper or something, you know, you're not gonna be able to send letters out to everybody that lives in your area, but somehow, social media works, yeah.
On the website. We've got those things for reading.
Yeah. So, ooh, that's a touchy subject. Okay, any further discussion? If not, we will move on. Item 12C, to adopt resolution 23-24.10, authorizing participation in the San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools bid 23/24-0005 for InterSystems stand and alone.
I move to adopt resolution 23-24.10.
I second the motion.
We have a motion by Ms. Gates, second by Ms. Estrada. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
I did vote, but it's in the house.
Vote again. I don't know how well.
I see you.
Item D, to approve CT 4090 through CT 4099 with YMCA of San Diego County for 6th grade camp.
I make a motion to approve.
We all second, I guess.
I need 1 second,
She
please.
did not the motion.
Thank you. I have a motion made by Ms. Avalos, second by Ms. Betty Castaneda. Please vote.
Item passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item E, to accept donations, $250 from the California Latino Superintendents and Administrators to the National School District Mariachi Program for instruments and supplies. Woo-hoo. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Avalos, second by Ms. Betty Castaneda. Vote, please.
Item passes unanimously.
Thank you. Don't we have more discussion? Oh, there it is, for Kevin. Ms. Avalos.
Okay, first of all, Mrs. Hayes, it's really nice to see you. I remember as a board member of the class, you were one of our famous cheerleaders here. Never missed
Still
a
am.
meeting. So it's always very good to see you here. Thank you for coming back. I also want to welcome our new employees, those that were present and those that were unable to show up. I'm glad that they want to be here. They have the experience to be here, they were chosen to be here. I want to thank Dr. Brady and Mr. Burke for giving me a tour of Ira Harbison. It was quite impressive. I even wanted to sit down and play, but I didn't.
We did play.
Oh, I did play, but I lost.
That's what she did when I got past.
But I tried pickpocket, or was it that pink thing or whatever I did? Pickleball. I did something like that, but I didn't win. But we did hold on to some things, didn't we, Mrs. Brady? Make sure that they were sounding correctly. The site is beautiful. I don't know if all of you have not taken the tour yet, but if you haven't, please let Dr. Brady and Mr. Burke show you around, and then we have one of our maintenance men come to show us. I think it's beautiful. It looks very nice, nicer than our Temple Park, as a matter of fact. That's one of the first things that I noticed, that it was, nice and big, and maybe sometime we will have our community be able to use it. Of course, I know there'll be some restrictions, but right now it's just for our kids. And if we put it out there, maybe more of our families will want to bring their children here, knowing that we have really improved our playground, our grass, our games, everything, the instruments that are there and stuff that was in the school itself though. But it was a great tour. I had a great time. I took a lot of pictures and I showed them to everybody I knew, which they know I take a lot of pictures. And I usually develop 100 pictures like every 2 days. Huh?
I owe you some.
Okay, thank you. I want to thank the policeman from National City who came in and gave away backpacks. I thought that was very nice. And another thing is, I think it was our chief, one of the policemen, I was with Mrs. Sarmiento, and they called her up and said, come over here and park. They were very, wanted to make sure that she had a nice place to park, it wasn't gonna be far to walk, and escorted us over into the rooms, we felt very honored, surrounded by about 8 policemen. We don't know if we were arrested or what, but we went down to the classroom and had a great time. I could see the children's faces were just excited. And one of the things that I noticed is that they were very, very attentive to the children. One child wanted a certain color of a backpack. They didn't have it in the box anymore. So he ran out of the schoolroom and went down and climbed down a few stairs and went to the boxes and picked it up and took it back to the child, which I thought was really good. He didn't say, we gotta have this one. No. She says, I want that one, but there was no more. So he took the time and he went to get the backpack for them. So I thought that was really nice, and he really did a good thing, and they spoke very nice to the children. So I thought that was great, and I'm glad to be back, and I want to thank all of our teachers that are coming back to school, and our children and our parents, that I'm sure they're glad that their kids are back to school, right? So thank you very much. That's it. I didn't forget anything either.
Are you sure?
Yeah, they were just being nice to us because I'm friends with the chief.
Oh, I know. Oh, that's okay. Because he gave me his phone number.
Okay. Ms. Bencourt Castaneda.
Okay. To make sure she's.
She said.
Well, that's very good. Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. I wanted to welcome those of you who have stuck around. We appreciate you. But I also want to welcome all of our families, our students, and our staff back to a new school year. I know it's hard to get back in the swing of things from being on vacation and not having all these agendas, but now, getting back to business and being back in school. Welcome to our new employees. We had many of them, and it's so gratifying to see how many people want to be in the National School District. And welcome back, Ms. Hayes. I knew you couldn't stay away. I should have bet, but I knew you would be back. You love us and you can't be with us. But thank you so much for coming and really providing us the support we need, especially now more than ever. And with our school site vacancy, and I know they are in great hands. So there's no worries. Wanted to thank Dr. Brady and Rick from facilities for providing me the tour around our school sites. I did have opportunity to see our school sites that are under construction. I can't even say it, construction, but also many of our school sites that are having a lot of work being done at a different scale, but there's so much going on in our district. And it's hard to keep up because our students are going to be so spoiled because of all that we're doing to ensure that they have a good, positive environment. So, but yes, Ira Harbison was one of the ones that I did visit in Palmer Way. And I did also lose the game, but I didn't play pickleball. But it's just amazing to see all of the options our kids are going to have. And as I mentioned before, at our visit, we're going to have many people knocking at our doors, whether it be to use our facilities or to have their children attend our schools, because it's just amazing. It just let me speak to this when I first walked up on how beautiful. And it's the team, not just one person, it's the team that had so much thought put into our students and what possibilities we have and the expansion of the opportunities. So it's Dr. Burke, your whole team, all that you've put into it, our entire executive cabinet. I know that you guys collaborate and have constant conversations on how to make these improvements to our students in our facilities. So I think I can't thank you enough, because now I'm jealous that, I wish I was in school still to be able to take on this opportunity of using the facilities, but it's just amazing on how much we are going to be able to offer our students. So
You played too,
I did. That's why I said I lost.
but maybe you and Trustee Avalos can have a,
Well, she played pickleball and I played the what is it, the memory game?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
yeah, she did that one too. We can bring you guys together. We can have a,
I need to learn how to play pickleball. I don't know if you were taught, but I think that would be something that we should have some knowledge of, so that way we can, have at least some competition, because whoever plays against me is going to win, because I don't know how to play. So there's an advantage. So, and I also wanted to thank all of our sponsors that provided the backpack giveaway. Our police officers are the ones who went around to our school sites, Palmer Way and Lincoln Acres in particular, but we do have other donors that made that happen. I believe the Costco had some a hand in that. Was it Cummings Chevrolet? We were able to meet with that owner, and she was super excited of being there. She just kept talking about her experiences and coming back and doing this every year. So it was really nice, Diane, to meet with her and conversate with her. So it was good. And also the Lions Club had also a donor in that. But hopefully we can expand that, and so next year we'll see how many schools we can have participate. But thank you again for all those that participated, all those that donated, and all of our students definitely were excited and happy. It's always amazing. Some students already have a backpack, but they make plans for the other backpacks. So it's nice to see, that they have, they're very appreciative and very thankful for what they receive. And with that, have a wonderful evening.
Well, thank you. Well, I'm gonna start saying happy 10 days of school. It's officially 10 days. So there's a very excitement all in every single school, and really starting a new school with a new teacher, with a new classroom setting. And I would like to congratulate all the list was big today for the new employees. Great job. Dr. Kevin and getting all these people. I know I see their smiles and they're happy to be part of the family. I also want to be extending the comment to the audience to share our excitement about the music program, and I'm excited about that we are. This is a very important step because music is a very an emotional support. It's a very impactful on the children's academic life and emotionally as well. It creates confidence, it creates skills, it creates skill development as well, especially for the fine motor skills that we don't have on our children, and we work eagerly to do that and in being inclusive as possible with everybody, not only a typical kid. So hopefully we can get an extended opportunities for them too as well. So it would be nice to know that Mr. Holt represented today Stay Out with Daphne. I had a conversation like a couple of years ago with Mrs. Castañeda and about how these topics are not trending, but it was being there, especially in male absence on raising a child. But sometimes it's the opposite, is the mom's side. So every single parent that is there, or any single mom that are there, they know how impactful it is and how crucial it is for child development. So I think we can consider those topics and implementing those with children, and to create a mindset about what am I missing, and then we can see in the behavior that something's wrong, and sometimes we don't know what it is. It may be that part, and we just want to connect it and make a mindset about that important influence in our lives. So, with that being said, I think I have everything else. I haven't been able to engage as much as I would because I have to work, but I will be eventually, and I need to do moving forward because I know some of the trustees that were on the first days of school, and I hopefully, and then I saw that online and on social media how great it was. The fair again, it was a total hit, and the backpack did giveaway, and keeping all those stakeholders engaged and participating on that. So, and for that being said, is that I'm waiting for a great school year. Have a great night.
Thank you, Ms. Gates.
I do want to welcome our new employees and welcome everybody back to school because, that's where we are. Mr. Howell, again, thank you for the reminder that we need to stand with all our kids. And in this case, you brought our voice and our attention back to that. There are times, and I'm always afraid I'm not going to say things quite right. So I've looked recently, it seems, well, in the past probably 30 years, we have done a really good job of focusing on our girls. We kind of turned around and went, hey, our girls have not had opportunities in this and that and the other thing, and we have done a fabulous job. And I never hear anything about something geared towards our boys and their needs anymore. Honestly, I don't. And I'm not saying that our girls have not needed that push and those things to be open, those doors to be opened and available. But I have wondered what we have done. And I remember being a much younger mom and reading the research that was done on, for instance, reading. And they talked to us about the fact, like, it's important to read to your child every night. But then they said it was more important that your child see you read every night. And then what was even more important than that, they see dad read every night. And so we have learned all these things. And thankful that you're trying to figure out how to see our kids and to make sure that we don't lose sight of those things. So thank you for coming tonight for that reminder. I think I've got it. 10 walls every 10 years. 6th grade class gets to do a new wall. I may be completely wrong. No, but that's what I mean. This 6th grade class does one wall. That wall's good for 10. The next 6th grade class does another wall. That wall's good for 10. Who knows? random idea. And I want to specifically say a shout out and a thank you to our attendance clerks and office personnel. Because you make the absolute world go round at the beginning of the school year as you are scrambling for residency forms, calling families, asking where the shot records are, filling that paperwork out, getting our children to the right class, to their teacher, making sure that the little ones who feel lost and confused are not lost and confused the whole day. And dropping kids off our rosters when they haven't shown up for 2 weeks. You're doing all of the things that make school work at the beginning and help us all to just focus on children. And I know as well that usually your stack of paperwork next to you is a foot deep. And that's the stuff that's sitting on your floor and next to your feet because you didn't have anywhere on your desk to put it. So thank you to our attendance clerks and all our office personnel for what you do, especially right now.
Thank you. Dr. Burke.
All right, stole some of my thunder there with that last one. I was gonna say the exact same thing. Our office staff, I wanna thank all the efforts that they put in. It's critical at the beginning of the year, trying to balance classes, trying to figure out how many teachers we need. Are there any classes that are overfilled or where we need to make some overflow moves to another site? And yes, the office staff, they're dealing with all those day-to-day operations things, all the communications with parents, the illnesses that come in, the nonstop, I want to talk to my mom, all that stuff that happens all day long at the beginning of school. And they're, scrambling and still able to get us the counts that we need to help the schools function at the proper levels in the way they do. So yes, the office staff, amazing work by them the first couple of weeks of the school year. I do want to point out again, I know it's been done before, but the maintenance and operations crew, the work that they did this summer is tremendous. And it took everyone, and I want to make sure we all understand that, it took every member of that maintenance and operations team. So we had grounds workers who would normally be taking care of some weeds on a fence line. They were putting together desks and moving chairs and taking old desks out and putting them in bins and everybody was all hands on deck. And I just want to thank that entire department led by David Castillo and the entire team and the purchasing side too as well with John. And so I want to thank them both and the leadership that they showed this summer in getting our schools up and running. Now we can get back to the weeds on the fence line. We can get back to some of those little things that need to be done because they need to be done. We want our schools tip-top shape, but it starts with books and desks. And last but not least, I want to thank the Rancho staff who welcomed me today to their staff meeting. I got to see that the passion that staff has for their students and for the cause of education. It's a united crew. It's a great crew, and clearly they care a lot about their campus and their students, and it was a pleasure to get to hear that. And I look forward to the Trustee Olympics coming up soon.
Why not?
I want
Sorry.
to welcome our new employees. Welcome back, everyone, to a new school year. It's very nice to go back and visit our schools. So we were at John Otis this morning. It's very nice to be back. I also just want to take the time to do a shout out to our human resources staff. We are always busy all year long, but we were especially busy this summer. And that is Rosie Valdivia, Paola Pineda, Martha Vasquez, Araceli Welch, and Melissa Northcutt. Really, it's a team effort. And as you can see, we're very busy this summer hiring all kinds of classifications. So I appreciate their effort and all hands on deck because they really do whatever it takes. Also, I just want to comment that the OPEB plan, it's very hard when you're a new employee to really envision retirement. But it is such a nice benefit that we offer our employees, and we're really doing shout outs about this to our new employees, just letting them know that we offer this, which a lot of districts do not. So post-employment retirement benefits is not as common anymore. So I want to thank the board and the district for offering this. And it's just such a nice thing to have, which creates the longevity that we have, I think. So welcome back, everybody.
Thank you. Dr. Kraft.
Thank you. I wanted to thank the Central and John Otis staff. We had a wonderful visit this week at Central. We already, week 3, have seen routines in place, strong instruction happening. It's back to normal. And with the John Otis staff, as always, they're very, very focused on their students, and it was definitely business as usual, getting things they needed, getting it executed, and it was a really wonderful visit this morning. Thank you, Ms. Hayes, for willingness to take the helm again. I agree, Rancho is in good hands. I'm also excited to celebrate our STEAM program began this week, and I'm hearing really positive reviews of it, and thank Ms. Melanese for her leadership in that. And lastly, we have launched our NTSS site coordinators under Dr. O'Connor's direction. And we're excited to say that we will be starting probably the earliest we ever have intervention programming for our littlest ones so that we can close the gap as quickly as possible. With that, good night.
Thank you. Dr. Brady.
Wow, it's really hard to go in this order. Almost everything I was going to share has been shared. I can't believe that it is only the 3rd week of school and we've already covered so much ground. Thank you to our trustees that have been out on visits or come for one-on-ones or been here for agenda review and building. There's a lot of work going on behind the scenes, as Dr. Burke was saying. We did a lot of extras this summer, and it's really fun to show off some of the new things, the new furniture that's in the classroom, the new playgrounds. We are already did our first site visit at Central, and today they were mentioning, Dr. Kevin and Dr. Kraft mentioned John Otis. We started our first coffee chats, our informal chatting with our staff, and we'd like to remind the board that that's a time that you can come and chat and celebrate and just visit and build relationships with our staff. So they are 7:45 to 8:30 in the morning. If you can steal away, we can get you those dates ahead of time if you can plan ahead and try to get those. So I'll include the year in my memo this Friday, but then they should be on your calendars as well, so you can look at those. I want to congratulate Palmer Way PTA for being named a 2022 to 2024 National PTA School of Excellence. Woohoo! And they will be hosting, I know, our very first PTA roundtable meeting with our officers this year, and that's going to be held on August 17th. And again, if board members would like to come, we do limit those meetings to 2 board members, but we can rotate you through because I know several of you like to attend those meetings. Okay, just RSVP to Jocelyn and Vanessa. We'll get you in there. We already have one RSVP from board president Sarmiento. And I just also want to welcome back Beverly Hayes and thank you and Steven Sanchez for your work to reroute our school bus at Rancho through the parking lot and helping with the traffic control to make sure that we have a safe drop off and pick up for our students that ride the bus to Rancho. So that change did happen this year for the trustees that brought that to our attention, and we thank you for your leadership in that. With that, have a great night.
And I like to keep mine short, being the last one, and it's already all been said. I'd just like to say, welcome back, everyone. Let's go get them. Meeting adjourned.
Right. You've been really busy.